Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to today's presentation. Of course, we are here for a special race. We have the Mud Rebels Dirt League, and of course, I am your host in the booth, Charles Wooten, and beside me is Nolan Rimple. We have a good race in store for us here, a last-minute deal, but I expect to see some good racing and some dirt being slung here this afternoon.
I think dirt being slung here is going to be quite the understatement, Cody. This is a track where, really, dirt racing in general is just a track where, you can really get down and dirty. So, would expect nothing less with these UMP modified cars here at Knoxville. It's going to be a very, very exciting race, such as the nature of dirt racing, much shorter sprints compared to sometimes some of the longer races that you might see over on the asphalt.
Yeah, the asphalt is some great racing. Dirt racing, it doesn't really matter. We just like some racing here on LSRTV, and you can see them right now. This track, a little sloppy out there here at the moment. They put some fresh water down on it, so they're trying to get some of that fresh sloppiness off this track and push that loose stuff up to the top of the track. And progressively throughout the night, they will push that loose stuff up to the top, and we'll see them riding right up next to the fence. And this fence, is a little tricky. It's kind of a guardrail style fence, and if you get caught on it, it is a little deadly sometimes.
Absolutely, but you got to remember, there isn't just that. You also got a little bit of a berm on the inside of the racetrack here. Of course, this is a berm at Knoxville International Speedway. Not terribly unlike the Chili Bowl. It's actually right there where you might think the bottom groove would be. Don't find yourself getting up on that either in the middle of things, or you could find yourself getting spun around, and it's not the most pleasant feeling in the world to be, trapped on one of those berms, having to get your car unstuck. And you can see on the track as well, on the edge of the corners, a little bit of a slick patch starting to form up as these cars continue to throw themselves into the corners all along it. And as that goes, you can definitely see some of the cars start to get a little more stepped out than others on that back end.
And, speaking of drivers out on the track trying to slick it off just a little bit, some heavy hitters I'm very familiar with. We got Tanner Tomasi here. We also have Chris Fisher here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Chris Fisher, one of the Tony Stewart Racing drivers. Dylan Fox out here as well. Zach McSwain, as well as Dustin Sizemore. So we have some really, really heavy hitters in here. A-class drivers, upwards in the 4 and 5,000 I rating range. That is just goes to show you how much these guys race and how good they are here on iRacing. We're going to see some 2-wide. We even may see some 3-wide battles for the lead later on in that 40-lap feature race.
Absolutely, and the heat races are going to be pretty intense as well. Of course, only 3 drivers are going to be advancing from the heats into the feature. Everybody else will have to duke it out in the last chance qualifiers to find their way through to the front of this race. Currently, we've got 17 drivers that are with us tonight, and we got looks like one more to make 18 that's trying to make their way in here. So I have to see how this will play out. But, 17 car grid with UMP modifieds, certainly not a bad field at all here, Cody.
No, you talk about it on iRacing, you think 17 cars, maybe not a huge field, but if you took this to its counterpart in IRL and you had 17 cars for a feature race, that's a big field, really. So, you got to think about it as a whole picture and not just a single class. So this is definitely a decent size. And I've seen classes where there's 10 cars and we have good racing. So 17 drivers going to be a good afternoon of racing. And of course, we mentioned this is a special event. We still have some super late models at Volusia coming up at 7 p.m. or 7:05 p.m. Eastern right after this one. So 2 actual races here on the channel this afternoon, both of which I expect to be good.
And got a 40-lap feature with the UMP modifieds before we head on over to the Volusia for what is going to be a 50-lap feature over there in the Super Late models. And I would expect that our Super Late model race is going to be a little more popular. Of course, that Super Late model, the Dirt Late models in general, significantly more popular than the UMP modifieds. No doubt helped out by the World of Outlaws Late Model Series World Championship, which is broadcast, on places like the iRacing Sports Network. So expect that race to be quite a bit more popular. But, for now, like we were saying, 17-car field should be a very good race tonight.
Yeah, no, we have to mention here as we have Dustin Sizemore here. It's a tradition whenever you see him in a race. Whether it is his fault or not, you got the hashtag Sizemore fault. It's kind of his catchphrase in a sense. So we'll see if it's Sizemore's fault today. We did see him racing yesterday, and he had a good shot at putting it in victory lane in some practice races we saw. So I'm going to be looking to see him up towards the front of this race tonight, as well as, let's see, I saw him in here a second ago, Dylan Fox. That's a 919, typically the 999, but he's another one that I do expect to be towards the front. And if I had to pick three drivers to be up towards the front, I'm going to go with Chris Fisher, Dylan Fox, and Dustin Sizemore.
And so, just a few minutes away from qualifying getting underway. It's going to be a 2-lap qualifying shootout with a 3 minutes set aside for that before we get into our first heat race of the night. Of course, qualifying is, as always, made to set the starting order for the heat. Staggered out, of course, so first place on qualifying will get you pole in heat 1. Second place will get you pole in heat 2, and so on and so forth, all the way down. So, drivers meeting just concluding. Drivers now heading now for the final couple minutes of qualifying now. Got about 2 minutes and 20 seconds left before we head on over.
Yeah, and I'm assuming, based on the fact here, we were told prior, as our sheets are showing us for the lineup, the B main is going to be run if needed, is what it says. So with 17 cars, we know 24 make the feature. We'll see if that is needed. I think we'll still run it. But Tanner Tomasi, the fastest right now. We're running 19-second laps. You think about that. That's 3 laps a minute, a 40-lap race. If we go green to checkered, that's about a 10 to 12 lap race. That is not a lot of time.
It really is not, but, of course, we're not expecting that it's going to run to the green. Of course, caution laps do not count in dirt racing like this, so that'll might help to spread out some of the time in this race as well. Very, very seldom do dirt races run green all the way through. Of course, it's usually not for one car spinning because the way these tracks work, it's not like an oval where if you see a car spinning ahead of you, you just duck out of the way. Once you start to throw yourself into a line at a track, especially at a track like Knoxville, once you're thrown in, you're fully committed to it. You're not avoiding the wreck if it's right in front of you. You just got to basically lock it down and hope for the best. And it's created some pretty spectacular pileups in the past, and I'm pretty sure it wouldn't surprise if you saw 1 or 2 of those tonight.
Yeah, you'll probably see some drivers roll the car over, to mention on that and kind of carry on that subject. Unlike asphalt cars, who, mind you, we just saw some go over, at Daytona and some other tracks, in real life, those cars are low to the ground. They have fenders that go all the way to the ground, and usually if they hit together, they hit and kind of crumple up the car. Usually they stay on the ground. These cars, however, they have those pointed front noses, and the super late models do as well. And if you get T-boned somebody, there's a good chance, and a very good chance, I might add, that somebody's going to go for a roll here tonight in either one of these races. So we very well could see some cars upside down on this race.
Just a few seconds away from qualifying taking place. The final seconds of practice now lining up. There is the checkered flag. Just 8 more seconds before we get set for qualifying, which is going to be going by in exactly 3 minutes, if it takes that long, depending on whether everybody will be setting times or not.
It will, and we'll go ahead and pull up the sidebar for you here so you can see exactly where everybody is in qualifying. As so far, nobody taking to the track. So nobody jumping right out onto the track. I'm kind of surprised, but it looks like I believe that's Casey Askew is going to be the first driver to attempt to come out onto the track here for qualifying.
Got Barry Sorensen, and looks like we've got one of the driver with him, Will Gatsky, also coming out on track. So right now looking like 3 total on the course. Got Chris Fisher's also making his run out with Tanner Tomosi and Lucas Choate. So drivers starting to really take to the track. And right now, a few drivers still throwing in their laps. I know Casey Askew, he's real sideways through 1 and 2. That's definitely not an uncommon sight here on the dirt ovals. Might have thrown it a bit too deep. Taking a little bit of a higher line through 3 and 4, I'm noticing. We'll have to wait and see just what that line will mean for him when he comes down for his first qualifying lap. It's going to come down across the start-finish line. It's a 22.90, not the lap you want to have when you can run 19-second laps. And right now, he's still in 3rd place with 5 times set so far.
Yeah, it's Tanner Tomasi up and the top in that '09 machine with a 20.054. Like you said, still not as low as they were in practice. We were running 19-second times then as Dylan Fox 20.001 to the top of the charts. A little bit closer, but still not a 19.
Now Dylan Fox getting up on the berm a little bit more as well on that second lap. Going to bring down across the line. Is that good enough for 19 seconds? It is a 19.997 for the 919 machine. So our first 19-second time, but just barely. And right now, that is good enough for provisional pole.
It is indeed, and so far the only 19-second time, like you said, Tyler McGoldrick out on the track in the number 7, and he is slow on the track, so he's going to be slowing down there. Zach McSwain jumps to third, though, with a 20.122, and that number 12 machine being scored as 12, but 25 on the car here with that custom number. We'll see how he does. And Kenneth Payne in 6th. We just got done watching him race the other day, 20.151 in 6th place.
Still waiting on 2 drivers to set times. Michael Elledge and Chad Bishop, both drivers not on the track as of right now. So with just 30 seconds left, if they only have time realistically for 1 lap, if that, their needs going to get out there now, though, because in about 3, 2, and 1, they don't have a time now to get out of the pits and set a lap. So I think at this point in time, qualifying is looking pretty set where it's at.
Yeah, it is. Dylan Fox is going to be your fastest time. And again, still the only 19-second time. It's not a very low 19-second time, but still 19 seconds as Chad Bishop coming out on the track with time running out, so it doesn't matter. He's not going to have time. Dylan Fox going to be on pole for heat race number 1. This will be interesting to see how he stacks up as you want to run through that lineup here with 9 drivers in heat race number 1.
It's going to be Dylan Fox starting on pole with Zach McSwain down in 2nd place. Rounding off and just on the bubble is Kenneth D. Payne. Barry Sorensen going to be looking to fight around that outside line to take that final transfer away in 4th spot, with Casey Askew down in 5th. Lucas Choate in 6th place with Joey Dominguez in 7th. Will Gatsky in 8th place. Chad Bishop, a car that did not manage to qualify, rounding out your 9-car field. The other 9 cars are going to be in heat number 2. There will be no third heat for the day. Again, top 3 are going to be going through towards the main event today. So McSwain and Fox looking to stay further out, but they're also going to be looking to get a good jump to make sure that nobody can try to sweep under them and take those spots away from them.
And, of course, Dylan Fox, I believe, as of right now, we'll have to wait till the second heat. I didn't see anyone else. The only pro driver in here with those, we like to say his black stripe on there. So he's the only pro driver we see in that 999 machine. We'll see if he lives up to his pro status here tonight. Of course, driving that D1RT machine, a very stout team here on iRacing. You know, anytime you see that D1RT sticker on a car, you can rest assured they're going to be somewhere up front and they're going to be a contender for the win.
2 pacing laps here at the Easter Oval, so just 1 more, and the anticipation is going to continue to ramp up more and more. Right now, I think we should look to Barry Sorensen and Casey Askew. Those are the 2 drivers right now that have the best shot at going for transfer spots, sitting 4th and 5th place. All the others behind might have to be a little bit more patient and wait for their time, but they only got 8 left to do so, so whether you wait or not, you're not going to have much time to do so.
Yeah, you really don't want to wait too much time. You got, like you said, 8 laps to do this as we're pacing around here. Less than a mile track, so we take 2 laps around. And, you know, these are crucial moments here in dirt track racing as the green flag is set to come out, and there it is. You kind of got to get a little dirt on those tires and get them used to the racing surface as they throw the green. And it is Dylan Fox out front, followed by McSwain, Payne, Sorensen, and Askew are your top 5, and they're starting to shake things up about midfield.
Contact between Barry Sorensen and Kenneth D. Payne in the middle of turn 1. That unsells Sorensen. He managed to hang on to it. Now single file onto the second lap. It's going to be Fox to lead them away for the first lap. And so far, Barry Sorensen still going to try to find his way through. Kenneth D. Payne right on that transfer bubble with that final spot that he needs. And At this point, that is actually the two closest cars on the track right now, is the number 45 and the 2.
And the 45 and the 2 battling really closely together. You got that number 23 of Casey Askew trying to sneak into the picture with that snap on number 23 right there behind Sorensen, but just can't quite catch him. A little one I'm surprised to see further back in the field is Joey Dominguez in that 85 machine. We watched him race the other day towards the front, so to see him further back is quite surprising as he's trying to fight his way up to 7th position.
Casey Askew trying to make a move on Barry Sorensen, throws it up the inside, trying to go for 4th place. Slide job right in front of the 45, and Sorensen gonna get the cutback on the exit of the corner. Just chops the nose, slamming the door shut in Askew's face as we cross over to the second half of this first heat.
Yeah, Askew said, "Excuse me," as I'm gonna go through. And Barry Sorensen with the crossover move takes the spot back. That probably is the closest battle on the track right now between Sorensen and Askew. Those two right there, bumper to bumper. We've already seen a slide job and a crossover. Will we see any more in these closing laps? Meanwhile, Dylan Fox is out front, and he has put the keys on the counter and checked out from his hotel.
Oh, absolutely. He has said thank you very much, goodbye, and good night. He is off and away, over a 2.5 pulled now over Zach McSwain down to 2nd place, 1.6 at the line. So definitely has pulled a very significant gap. And at this point in time, Zach and Dylan, they should just be taking it easy here. They do not need to push hard because they know they're safe. At this point, Payne might be able to take it a little bit easier as well, because with 4th and 5th battling, they're only slowing each other up.
Yeah, the white flag is gonna come out. One more lap, actually less than a lap to go, as he is on the backstretch. Of course, that is Dylan Fox coming to get the checkered flag. He will be your Heat Race 1 winner. Flagman waving the checker flag, and this race is over for Heat Race number 1. Dylan Fox in that 999 machine for D1RT, putting it in victory lane-ish for the Heat Race number 1. We'll move on to Heat Race number 2, and as you mentioned, only 2 heat races here tonight.
Yep, only 2 heat races. No need to, do anything major. So it's going to be Dylan Fox, Kenneth D. Payne, and Zach McSwain. Those were the 3 drivers that were made it in from heat number 1. Everybody else is going to have to go on over to those last chance qualifiers, and 9 cars getting ready to line up again for heat number 2.
And heat race number 2, your grid looks like this. Going to be Tanner Tomasi on row 1 on the pole here for heat race number 2. On his outside, going to be Jacob Fields. Didn't even see him come in here, but we'll look to see how he stacks up. Another heavy hitter on row 2 is going to be Chris Fisher and Will Duvall, or BJ as he's known around here. And row 3, going to be the 7 of Tyler McGoldrick and the 16 of Devin Thompson. Row 4 is going to be hashtag Sizemore's fault. Dustin Sizemore, looking to see him go to the front. And the 10 of Jason Soul. And row 5, Michael Elledge in that 022 machine. And it looks like Michael Elledge is going to be a scratch here for heat race number 2.
10-4, Michael Elledge has left the racetrack, so it's going to be shrunk from a 9-car heat to an 8-car heat. Elledge not able to join us tonight, it would seem. Right now, Tomasi, Fields, and Fisher, those are the 3 drivers that are safe. And good old BJ sitting in 4th place right now, and he's going to be the one that's trying to get those transfer spots. And of course, Tyler McGoldrick in that number 7 machine, sitting in 5th place. 2 drivers to keep an eye out for to go for that transfer spot as the pace truck rounds through 3 and 4.
They are indeed, and we got a note there from Race Control. They slipped it here to us in the booth. They're saying everyone should go through, so that may mean we are not going to run a B main. So we may go straight to warm up and then your feature. We'll see here momentarily if that is what that note meant, but we are racing here, 8 laps to go, and already some good battling up front as Fields trying to make something happen on Tomasi.
BJ following them around the outside while Chris Fisher tries to hang on, really sticking that bottom groove, and he's doing a good job with that orange number 5, keeping a pin to the inside, but BJ still trying to fight around that outside, pick up that spot. 3 wide for a brief moment. Jacob Fields trying to go for the lead on Tanner Tomasi. Gonna throw it way deep in a 3 and 4, slides it up, and so far not able to make anything work. Tomasi holding on, and some much closer fighting in heat number 2 than we saw in the first one.
Yeah, this is much, much closer racing as you got the 09 of Tomasi, followed by Fields, Fisher, and BJ McGoldrick. And those front four right there, you could throw a blanket over them. They are right there stacked together. The 09 of Tomasi taking the high side, Fields going to the low side. They're side by side at the line.
And BJ put into the wall by Chris Fisher. Fisher slid up the track and made contact with BJ. That put that 32 machine into the wall and did manage to hang on to it, but BJ not going to be the most happy camper in the world, still trying to find a way around, crossing over onto that second lap of the race. Now Fields taking away the lead for Tandon Tomasi, new race leader in this one for Jacob Fields, who managed to get that move done through 3 and 4.
And another one of the D1RT drivers, as we mentioned, they'll be up the front. They find their way up there. The slide job was complete, and it was a clean slide job, and he has since kind of pulled away. So obviously the faster machine in that 007. We'll see if the 09 of Tomasi has anything for him. But like you said, BJ and Fisher still battling side by side. That is for third position. At the moment, BJ has it, as he'll take to the high side. And it's going to be Chris Fisher down to the bottom.
And BJ will finally take over that third transfer spot as we cross over onto lap number 7, penultimate lap for heat number 2. Fisher still trying to find some speed around the bottom. It really worked for him in the opening laps of the heat, but he's just not finding anything now. It's just too slick. Tries to slide it up right in front of BJ and almost making contact again. Both drivers keeping out there, but they're side by side as the white flag flies.
And white flag in the air for Jacob Fields. He is running all the way up at the top of the fence, as that is a very scary place to be. You got to be very skilled, as that 007 driver is. Now he's going to take it to the bottom to be a little bit safer. He's going to bring it to the flag stand for the final time. He is going to be your heat race 2 driver, the 007 of Jacob Fields, followed by Tomasi, Fisher, BJ, McGoldrick, Sizemore, gaining a few spots there, Thompson and Soul. Again, Michael Elledge, a scratch for heat race number 2. And we are going straight into warm-up. No B-mains here tonight, so again, about 5 minutes here for a little bit of a break, and then we're going A-main feature racing tonight.
That was a really close battle between, Chris Fisher and that fourth place runner of BJ. It was definitely a tight one as they were running their way down. I almost thought for a minute that they wouldn't be able to hang on to it, really. They got so close to making contact, and I've seen moves like that in the past where, you've thrown it up the inside, but you've just washed up right in front of them, and you just get completely cleaned out because the other driver's he's got all that momentum on the outside, and he just cannot pull out, or he just can't, pull out of the movement time.
Yeah, you got to be very careful making moves here. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of those slide jobs and, of course, crossover moves here in this 40-lap A-main event. Again, keep in mind, for anyone out there watching, caution laps do not count. iRacing, they took their time getting this to us. And, a lot of people complain about it, but at the end of the day, they had to do it right. And they did it perfectly. They made it to where if the caution comes out, it reverts to the last lap completed, which means if you are racing on lap 10 per se, and you pass somebody, caution comes out, and you did not complete that lap, you will go back to second place. It's one of those things that you don't necessarily like if you're the one that just took the lead, but they did it properly, so it's going to make for some great racing, especially if we see that case happen here.
Oh, absolutely. And, now instead of a 9-car and 8-car heats, we do have the full 17-car grid. Well, 18 minus Michael Elledge, who, of course, bowed out just before heat number 2 and is still is yet to rejoin, so it does not look like Elledge is going to be rejoining us tonight. So, bit of a shame. We are down to 17 cars right now, but 17 cars around a tight track like this, it can make for some really, really good racing here, let me tell you what.
Yeah, it definitely can make for some great racing. And again, we're going to see, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to see a D1RT front row here with Dylan Fox and Jacob Fields. And even here in practice, they are the 2 fastest drivers in the session with a 20.159 and a 20.320. which I kind of find surprising, knowing that those two were probably running the same setup, and yet there's still almost 2 tenths fast of a difference between those two.
But at that point, it's got to be down to the driver's skill. Sometimes drivers can be just a little more confident when they're sliding the cars to these corners. The higher line usually does tend to be around the outside, especially on corner exit. And sometimes you really need to get right out and really hug that wall. That is especially true in cars like the 360 and the 410 sprint cars, especially the winged sprint cars. That is where you really need to try to hug that wall to carry all the momentum. And in a lot of cars, it isn't that uncommon. If you get the slide job pulled, it could be great for you, but otherwise, you're really going to find a lot of your momentum around that outside line. But a lot of drivers, that's why they tend to stick up high, is because that's where they know the momentum is. So if you're a little more confident around there, you can really control the field.
Yeah, you want to stay. And you see, if you're looking here, we're watching the 96 or 95, I believe that is, going around this track. Along with the 007. You're seeing them, they're keeping those back tires just above that black stuff. That is slick. You want to keep your steer tires in the black so that they're kind of more free. They can maneuver a little bit, but you keep those power tires back, or as I call them anyway, right above that so that you have the power, you have that moisture and grip. However, you get people like the 007 here, Fields. He's kind of running right through the middle of it as well, so that goes to show you how good he can control this car.
It's Jacob Fields. There's a reason why he's currently second place in the when it's going to be coming to the feature. So that's why he won his races, because he is a good driver. It was a close fight though, and he actually, he did overtake one of the drivers that he was running with, and that was, of course, Tanner Tomasi. Tomasi that he was racing with, and originally it was Tomasi that had the lead, and of course that went away come the end of the race because Fields was just so much better than him, and at that point in time it was in case of a race pace and not just qualifying pace, where it so really got that one lap to make it count.
It definitely was, and I want to correct myself. Seeing the Chris Fisher, I was thinking he was part of the TSR team. I'm not seeing the TSR logo on the car, so I do stand corrected on that. But nevertheless, he's fastest. He actually tops Jacob Fields as the checker flag waves on warm-up/practice, as this track's starting to get a little bit more slicked off as we get ready for your A main event here at the virtual Knoxville Raceway. And looks like, again, 17, 18 drivers total. Of course, we're not going to be starting all of those. Nola, you want to run through our top 10 drivers here, and then I'll bring us home for tonight's grid.
Well, Dylan Fox and Jacob Fields are going to be the ones that won the heat, so they are going to be two drivers to watch for big time, with the two poles on the inside and the outside, with Zach McSwain down in third and Tanner Tomasi in fourth place, with Kenneth DePayne rounding off your top five, and Chris Fisher down in sixth place for your first three rows.
Row 4 going to be Barry Sorensen and the 32 of BJ or Will Duvall. Again, row 4. Row 5 going to be Casey Askew and Tyler McGoldrick. Row 6 going to be Lucas Choate and Dustin Sizemore. Row 7 going to be Will Gatsby and Devin Thompson. Row 8 going to be Joey Dominguez and Jason Soul. And row 9, Chad Bishop and Michael Elledge, who is a scratch here for tonight. And it looks like Lucas Choate in that 143 machine, who would have started 11th, also going to be a scratch here for the A main.
That's a shame for Lucas Choate, who, not quite sure why he decided to not take the grid, but he isn't even starting from the pits. He hasn't, even gotten into his car yet, so it looks like he's just not going to be able to make the main event. So we've gone from 18 to 17. Well, now we're down to 16 cars. Still, though, only lost 2. And with one more lap to go before we go green, what do you think we can expect? Because it's going to be 40 laps, and if we go green, it's going to run by in a hurry.
Yeah, I would expect this to be a quick race. We didn't see a whole lot of people beating and banging in the heats. So again, that does not mean we're not going to see it here in the feature, but we saw a lot of respect and clean racing in that Heat Race 1 and Heat Race 2. If that carries over, we are going to have a very short afternoon of racing here. We've only been live here on the air for just over 30 minutes, 32 to be exact. This is going on 33, so it'll be interesting to see if that continues as the green flag does come out. And we are racing, and it's going to be a good little battle here as we're shorting the scoring out in the scoring tower. And Dylan Fox out front leading this race. Fields right behind him, but I'm looking at Zach McSwain as he takes second place away.
What car up and over in turn number 3? It's Will Gatsky that has just rolled it. He was upside down, and caution comes out. That was over in turn number 3. They were 3 wide off of the corner here, Cody, with Dustin Sizemore and Tyler McGoldrick. Well, you said... hashtag blame Sizemore. Well, Sizemore is the one that ended up turning Gatsky in that one, so hashtags tending to ring true here.
And we'll go back here to look at the replay and see what happened to Will Gatsky. Again, you just said the 11 of Dustin Sizemore having a hand in it, or in this case, a nose of a car in it. We'll see right there. And around he goes and upside down as we'll switch camera angles for you. Here you can get a better view, and there he is upside down. Oh, unfortunate for Wills, he's going to be the first one that is going to take a tumble here at the virtual Knoxville Raceway, bringing out caution number 1. And it's still going to be that 999 out front. And this is good news if you're these guys behind that maybe didn't get a good start on that original start. Caution laps not counting, so we're going to stay on lap 2, and we've already heard from race control that if they're not happy with how the people are lined up, they will delay this caution and drag it on another lap or 2 to get people in the correct order.
Tyler McGoldrick did come down to the pits, likely to fix some damage. He was, of course, caught up big time in that crash, stuck against the outside wall. One other driver to note, Lucas Choate has joined us on the racing surface, currently just ahead of Tyler McGoldrick. So seems like we're back up to 16 cars. Choate might, it looks like he came in to replace Gatsky's now missing place currently, and it is going to be looks like might be a little bit more of an extended yellow, with everybody still trying to get themselves sorted out and make sure that all those lines are correct, make sure that there are no discrepancies before they go green flag racing once again.
And, that would be an awesome little scenario there. If you always had a replacement driver for someone gets wrecked out, you bring another car in. You'd always have a full field then. I could get on board with that. But like you said, Lucas Choate coming into the race 2 laps down. Obviously, dirt track racing not going to get those laps back. So chances of getting a win here slim. But you never know. Maybe he'll race his way around all these cars and get his way back to the front. But Dylan Fox, Jacob Fields, Zach McSwain, Tanner Tomasi going to be your top 4. And kind of shaking it up, I believe that is Kenneth Payne that's going to be in the 5th position. That is a big, stout top 5. So it's going to be interesting to see if anybody outside the top 5 can get into that top 5 later on tonight.
Lights are out on the pace truck. Looks like they're going to be lining up single file. Dylan Fox, the lone car on the inside. He's going to get himself filed up now around that outside line. So the pace truck coming down this time, and we'll have to see what Joe will be able to do. He might be out there to just log those positions and get those laps in. And, well, here we go again. Green flag waving once again at Knoxville.
Green flag is out for we mentioned it, the Stepanski Racing Graphics UMP Modified Series. As Jacob Fields, 007, going to take it to the inside on his own teammate of Dylan Fox. He's going to try to make a slide job here. And not going to be enough for the slide job, and I don't think he got it either. No, he didn't. Dylan Fox going to lead that lap, but that was dead even at the line.
So Jacob Fields still trying to find his way around. He's got that inside line pinned. We know how good Fields is around the inside line early in the run, so he's got to try to get that, move complete before Fox can find the momentum around the outside line. He's almost clipping the berm through, the first couple corners in 1 and 2, and it looks like he might get that move done. And in fact, it is new race leader to Jacob Fields, who takes it away from Dylan Fox, and he's still trying to find his way around the inside. Here comes Fox, trying to fight back on the outside, so close to the guardrail. Manages to keep it out of it, though, And yeah, green flag run. Looks like we're going to get a bit of a longer one this time. One into the wall. It's Tyler McGoldrick that went into the wall in 3 and 4 and ramped up the guardrail as well. That happened over on lap number 5 here, Cody.
Yeah, it did. He's going to pull it to the pits. Looks like his night is done. As that'll, of course, give Lucas Trout one more spot to gain as he'll pass him as he sits in the pit. So good news for Lucas there. Right now it's Fields out front. We'll go a little further back here as these guys starting to get a little dicey back here with the 45 of Barry Sorensen and BJ. Also, it looks like Casey Askew trying to get into the mix as well. We got a 3-4 car battle as it looks like the 2 is going to get into the wall of Kenneth Payne.
Kenneth Payne, unfortunately, going to lose out on a spot. He's going to have to try to fight back now around BJ Will Duvall. And can he get that move done around the outside line? It looks like he'll be able to. Once again, the momentum oh so powerful around that outside line. That really needs to be where you want to be to make those moves work. Barry Sorensen just barely grinding that guardrail through 1 and 2. Once again, approaching 1/4 distance complete in this race.
Now we are 1/4 of the way done, coming up to a start lap 10. Again, 40 laps. If we stay at the pace we're going, it won't be very long. Again, 20-second laps. That is, again, 3 laps a minute. That will be taken around the track. And I want to go back to the 999 here. He is indeed the only black stripe, the only pro driver in this race at the moment. And he is running down his teammate, or at least attempting to, as Fields, he is literally driving up on that berm at the bottom of the track and using it to his advantage to get around this track.
So Jacob Fields, once again, being able to pull that inside line and just use that to his every advantage. Things are still looking a bit dicier in the back as well, as Dylan Fox does manage to close in a decent bit of time that lap, a good half a tenth, give or take. Caution is out for an incident. Looks like it's, 2 cars slides on the front straightaway. It was Kenneth Payne, and he got into the wall and actually was run over on the front straightaway by one Casey Askew.
Let's go back and we'll take a look on the replay here and see how this transpired on the track. And unfortunate for Kenneth Payne is he had a fast machine, but again, he's going to be sitting in the pits here for at least 25 seconds. He gets into the wall and rides it just a little bit, and here comes trouble right there in that 23, as you mentioned, and just gets into him. So, you know, I talked about that guardrail a little bit earlier in the race or in the race session. It is very treacherous. It kind of sucks you into it, and you can't get off of it.
Oh, absolutely. It's very, very difficult to, run by the guardrail, because we've seen already a couple times in just this race alone, if you hit that wall, you're going to just ramp up the side of it. And, in reality, Payne is lucky that didn't happen to him. We saw it happen once to another car that was in a similar situation. That is how Gatsky as well rolled over, and he was put into the wall and then, lifted up and overturned 1.5 times and landed on his roof earlier in the race back on lap number 2. So, it's one of those things where you got to really be careful for that guardrail, because it can just kill your race.
Yes, it definitely can. It looks like we're getting a set here. Nope, lights are still on the pace truck. So we're going to take at least one more lap around the virtual Knoxville Raceway. And the lights are off, so we will go racing this next time by, as it's still going to be a Jacob Fields out front with that 999 of Dylan Fox. Those two have been 1 and 2 all night. Zach McSwain pretty much third all race as well. Tanner Tomasi really trying to get in there and see if he can make something happen.
So lining up double file this time, no longer a single file restart. Dylan Fox, he's good on that outside line. We'll have to see if he can make something work here as they come down. Pace truck off of the pit lane, and don't pass before that green flag. Almost looking 3 wide was Zach McSwain. As the green flag flies, and it's a great jump there from Jacob Fields. And double file all the way through the track. One car going straight and falling down the order. BJ, and that was very unfortunate for him. Ended up going straight in the corner, couldn't get the car turned in. He's lost quite a few spots here, Cody.
Yeah, he has at least 3 or 4 spots there, and he still can't get that car to turn. Something wrong with the steering onto that 32 of BJ as he just cannot get the car to do what he wants it to do. And point out here the scoring showing Casey Askew as the race leader in RN. That is not accurate. Your race leader is Jacob Fields, as it should update here at the line. But again, not sure why it is showing Casey Askew as the leader. It is Jacob Fields. But Zach McSwain did get a good, and I mean really good jump on the leaders here, and he did take second place, but he is under heavy fire still from Dylan Fox.
And Jason Soul is rolling on the back straightaway. That all started over in turn number 1. He got into the wall on the front straightaway even, rode up the guardrail, and actually the flip though happened when he hit the inside guardrail and rolled over once and then twice, landed on all fours, but he had to take the tow back to the pits. There wasn't a caution for it. We're keeping it green because there wasn't a hazard to any of the lead lap cars.
Yeah, and you know, that is good news if you're these guys up front, like Jacob Fields. You may not want to see the caution. He wants to keep this car up front. He's got a nice little lead, about a 4 or 5 car length lead over Dylan Fox, who just took second place back from Zach McSwain. So he does not want to see a caution. If he sees it, it bunches his field back up, and they start to run him back down again. Right now, he is quite content where he is. Chris Fisher trying to make something happen there on the high side, but I don't think that high side's quite working for him here tonight.
So sometimes, you know, that outside line cannot come in as best, and Casey Askew going to back out for the night. So looks like Askew is going to be leaving us for tonight's race. A bit of a shame there as well. Tanner Tomasi trying to go for a cutback on Barry Sorensen. He's going to get that move done. Slides it up in front of the 45 in turns 3 and 4. And going to be able to keep that move secure just about. Sorensen still trying to fight around that inside line. Going to do so. Slides it up in front of the 09, just like up front. Zach McSwain doing the same to Chris Fisher. But that battle for 5th is on. Those two drivers swapping positions. That's about every single corner here.
Yeah, they definitely are battling hard, trying to get a top 5 position. Meanwhile, up front, really nothing going on at the front of this field. Your front 3 have kind of separated themselves from the rest of the pack. Let's go a little further back here to Joey Dominguez in that 85 machine. Again, they've really spread out. Not a whole lot going back here either. Just wanted to give them a little bit of time here on the air. As Kenneth Payne still a lap down out there in that 2 machine after an incident on track, but still pushing forward, seeing if he can get as many positions as he can. And, the more we drop drivers out, he's going to pick up some positions as well.
Tanner Tomasi is still throwing that car in big time, trying to make that stick, but he keeps on losing this momentum because he constantly runs that car right to the wall and just can't make anything work. The problem is that car in front of him, Barry Sorensen, is doing the exact same thing, so they're constantly side by side off of the straightaways, and it's really hurting them both because they can't work their way forward to pick up any more of those positions. You can see Chris Fisher just up the road trying to make something work around that inside line, is working around Zach McSwain, but he also can't make anything work as well. Just over halfway in this 40-lap feature.
Yeah, it was just a few laps ago. We were 18 laps in. Now we're 18 to go. And again, Jacob Fields leading this race. He has a 0.3 second lead over Dylan Fox right now. Make it 0.549. So he is starting to pull away from this field. Makes you wonder how soon it's going to be and if he will at all. Will Jacob Fields start catching lap traffic as a the last place car back here 2 laps down? Can't quite see the gap. It looks like about 20 seconds or so. So he very well could be catching some lap cars here in the next little bit.
Lap traffic is never something you terribly want to see in the dirt oval. It's, of course, very difficult to try to work your way through. Zach McSwain getting really close to that outside wall, but he's making that work around the outside as he tries to continue to hold off. Chris Fisher is doing so brilliantly. It looks like that battle for 5th and 6th has finally cooled off just a little bit because it's at the point now where that inside line, you're just really not finding a lot of momentum around the bottom. It's all going to be around the outside line, and got one car that's actually pulling it into the pits, and that is Davin Thompson, who is, he actually slapped the wall, looks like, off of turn number 4 1 lap prior, but he's down and into the pits now, so I wonder what that's all about.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to retire it here a little bit early. He will, of course, go 1 lap down, if not multiple laps down. And unfortunate for him as he's there. Looks like that is good news for Lucas Choud, who will gain another position this next time by. He'll take 12th place. At the rate he's going, if we drop a few more, he could have a top 10 after not even starting on the grid. Had to come in 2 laps down from this race.
Wouldn't that be something special to see that happen? You know, the drivers, they can tend to start to drop like flies later on into a green flag run because, you know, the fatigue can set in really, really quickly on tracks like these, and it can definitely cause you to make mistakes. You know, dirt racing is really one of those things where you got to be on point every single lap, and that is why, you know, it's such a difficult discipline to actually be good in this, because you really need to nail every single lap. You do not have a lot of room for errors because the runs you get are just so short that you really need to be able to capitalize on every last second of it. You're just not going to be able to get anywhere.
Yeah, it's definitely well said, and we talked about it. Lap cars coming into the picture for your leader, and it is Choate that goes another lap down, but not too much of an issue here for these front 2 leaders. He's going to take it to the high side. They're going to go to the bottom. They get by him. All looks good for them with 10 laps to go, just 10 laps to go here in your A main 40-lap event.
So Jacob Fields continuing to round this track, and he's been doing a great job. He's still sticking it to that inside line, and at this point, you know, Dylan Fox no longer trying the high line. He's trying to maybe follow Fields around the inside, give that line a try, because, well, it's clearly been working for that 007 machine. More lap traffic getting out of the way. That's Chad Bishop over the top side of the racetrack that's going to get out of their way next. So your battle for first place is definitely kind of cooled off. Nothing special going on down there. The fight is more on for about 3rd place. Even that, it's stretched out a bit more. Zach McSwain bounces off the wall a little bit. Chad Fisher, or Chris Fisher, tries to continue to work his way up, and at this point in time, the position swaps are looking more and more unlikely as lap traffic comes into play.
Yeah, it looks like pretty much how we are. Oh, as we got one into the wall. Not sure who that is. Looks like the 95. Bishop. That is Chad Bishop that hit that wall. He was trying to get out of the way of the lead lap cars, ended up hitting the guardrail.
Did manage to keep it going straight, so we are going to stay green. And again, with every passing lap, we do get closer and closer. Look at 3 wide, though, in the entry at turn number 1 with Joey Dominguez in the middle. Jacob Fields up top. Sorry, Kenneth DePayne up top with Jacob Fields down on the bottom. So that's a bit of a hairy moment between lap traffic and trying to let lead lap cars through. And right now, that's allowed Dylan Fox to get right up to the gearbox of Jacob Fields. Not much of the gearbox in this car. There's only really 1 or 2 gears in these UMP modified. So Fields is going to have to start looking at his mirrors because Dylan Fox might try something here in the closing 4 laps.
He very well could. Again, that gap went from 5, almost 6/10 of a second, or 6/10 anyway, to 0.283. He closed him in, and he's still reeling him in. 0.216 seconds separating your front 2 right now, coming up on 3 laps to go. And we'll see 3 laps to go this time by the coming into 3 and 4. Dylan Fox all the way down on the bottom as they're side by side coming out of turn 4. And it's still going to be Fields at the line.
Fox had some troubles in 3 and 4. He couldn't get the car turned in very well, so he couldn't make that stick. Now he's trying the inside line, so it seems to have swapped. Now Fox is the one finding speed around the inside line, and he's going to go back to the point now with Jacob Fields still trying to pull around that outside lane, and in fact he's going to do so. It really does look like that inside line is a little more dominant in 3 and 4, but the outside's just better. Sorry, the inside line's better 1 and 2, but the outside's just better through 3 and 4. That seems to be the case right now. Fox, can he hold on to that position? Fields taking the top line right by the fence. If he doesn't get into it, he could continue to hang on to it here. White flag in the air. This is going to be close.
It is indeed. It is, of course, your Eco. 1 lap to go here at Knoxville. Something has got to give. One of these is going to be the victor here tonight. As of right now, it looks like Dylan Fox has the advantage. Not sure if he's going to do it. He comes to the line, and indeed, Fields. Dylan Fox getting the win. Fields just a little short.
Less than half a tenth, 0.047 is the margin of victory, but a well-earned win for Dylan Fox. Starter at pole, Jacob Fields ended up winning led a good portion of the race, but in the end, Fox managed to find Fields' magic around the inside and just barely hang on for the win.
It did indeed. And 18 drivers were here. Of course, not all of them started. We'll give these drivers just a minute to get out of their cars and get ready for the post race show. Before we get to that, you want to run through our top 10 here in the results? I will finish us off and we'll get ready for that post race show.
Well, Dylan Fox again taking the win in spectacular fashion, managing to take that race complete by less than half a tenth over Jacob Fields. Then 3.5 seconds down the road, it is, of course, Zach McSwain with Chris Fisher down in fourth place. Tanner Tomasi rounding off your top five with Barry Sorensen in sixth place. BJ Will Duval in seventh with Dustin Sizemore in eighth. Joey Dominguez in ninth with Chad Bishop rounding out your top 10.
And making a good recovery, I think, here in that 143 of Lucas Chout. In 11th, 12th will be Kenneth Payne. 13th will be Devin Thompson. 14th will be Casey Askew. 15th, Jason Soul. 16th, Tyler McGoldrick. 17th, Will Gatsky, and rounding out your field with a scratcher tonight, didn't start. That is going to be 18th place of Michael Elledge. And it looks like we are getting some drivers in here. They are making their way, getting out of their cars. So give us just a moment. We will be right back with your post-race show. Are you in the market for a quality new or used car, truck, or SUV? Head on down to Sames Ford in Corpus Christi, Texas, and browse through their inventory today. You won't be disappointed. All right, we're back here, sort of for the post-race show. We are giving these drivers a little bit extra time to freshen up and get ready for the post-race show. We're going to talk a little bit about the next race coming up, which is going to be the late models at Volusia. We talked about it a little bit earlier. Definitely should be a good race. I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely, no. We're going right back to the good old classic super late models. It's those cars. They're, I can speak from experience. They're not easy to drive. So, it's always fascinating to see how people be able to wrestle those cars around. Everybody says it's in the throttle. I never figured out the secret to that. I never did. So, it's going to be a very interesting race, though. It's an extra 10 laps, but the cars do run at significantly higher speeds usually than these UMP modifieds do.
Yeah, they definitely run faster. So we'll just have to see just what those times are once it's all said and done and we get over there. But again, a different track. It's going to be 50 laps for the A main event, which obviously is because it's a little bit smaller, but I would expect the time of race to be about the same, again, because it is a shorter track. So that'll be interesting. And we did just get to note we still don't have our drivers out of their cars yet and ready, but Barry Sorensen is at his radio where we can talk to him. So let's get him in here real quick. Barry, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, we got you here. Obviously, a little out of the top three, but we're waiting on them to get here. So, first off, I know how was this track handling, and or how did this track look for you, and how was that car handling tonight?
It was a bit tight. The track was really slick, but I just kind of made it work. I was running a slider line and just floating it up to the top.
It definitely was a good race here. We're looking forward to the upcoming race for the late models. You going to be in that race as well?
Yes, sir.
Nolan, have any questions for Barry before we let him go?
Well, let's see. You finished here in sixth place for the UMP modified race. Where do you think you're going to be ending up over the super late models? Think you can go for the top five?
Yeah, I mean, I won some earlier in the season in this series. I'm gonna try to go for a top 5 at least, and yeah, hopefully everything just plans out.
There you go. Expect some big things then from Barry Sorensen.
Oh, definitely some big things indeed. And again, give us just one more moment. Looks like we have some of our drivers, or at least one of them. So we are going to get them in here and chat with them real quick. So we will be right back again. All right, we are back. Here's we're going to take a quick chat with Dylan Fox. We have officially in here for the post-race show. Of course, this post-race show brought to you by Clan Wars Servers, the official communication partner of LSRTV. Dylan, you had a good run. I mean, well, for that matter, a great run, and you get the win here tonight. Give us a rundown of that battle between you and your teammate there in the 007 machine.
Yeah, and I was kind of surprised that the track stayed on the bottom. Usually it's like, slider line or something like that. But at the end, Jacob left the bottom open just a little bit. So I went down there, got some room for myself. And, he found something in the middle, 1 and 2. So uh, we were running pretty similar lap times, running different lines. So made for a good finish at the end.
Well, it definitely was a great race, a good finish. Uh, again, we have the super late models coming up. Are you going to be in that one? And you think you'll have both teammates there as well?
We'll see. Not sure if I'll be able to make it. I know Jacob's probably going to run it. Maybe a couple other guys from the team. So we'll just see. Might have to go somewhere in an hour or so. So I don't know.
Definitely. We talked about the pre-race show. Uh, Anytime you see a D1RT driver in a race, they're going to be up at the front. Obviously, you didn't disappoint. You kept me as an honest person here tonight. So, just how good does it feel to know that you got that 1-2 and that you're repping Ed Livingston and doing our team so well good here tonight?
Yeah, it always feels good. We always feel pretty confident going into the race, and like you mentioned, we got a great team owner, Ed. He's been doing this sim racing stuff for probably longer than I've been alive, so he really knows how to manage a good team and get the right guys together, and it shows in our performances.
It definitely does. Obviously, you just thanked Ed. Anyone else on that car you need to thank for making it all happen here tonight?
Yeah, I got to thank Jim Emery. He does a great job on the wraps. Showtime Graphics and Apparel, Clay Devin, check him out. Spencer Swafford also did a little bit on the wrap, and Jordan Casey too. So, and just thanks to the rest of the guys on the team for helping out.
All right. Well, again, congrats on the win. And if you make it to the next race, hopefully we'll be talking to you some more.
Yep, will do. Thanks.
All right. And that, of course, is going to do it for the racing action. Nolan, we round out race number 1 here. So, any final thoughts before we sign off?
That was a very good race, and I look forward to coming back here in just under an hour now to be back for the super late models over at Volusia. And good race from everybody involved. And again, congrats on a very close win over to Dylan Fox.
Oh, definitely good win. Again, kind of a half sign off. We'll see y'all in, like I said, just under an hour with some super late models at Volusia.